You were born curious. Then they gave you a desk, a bell, a curriculum designed by people who've never read a poem. Congratulations, you've been domesticated. They call it education. But it's really obedience training with homework. Sit still, raise your hand, repeat the approved answers, and for God's sake, don't ask why, because why is dangerous. Why leads to questions like, why do I need a job that hates me to afford a life I don't have time to live? Why is productivity the highest virtue in a world drowning in stuff? Why do I feel empty when I've checked every box they told me to? And we can't have that. So they medicate the why out of you. Label it ADHD, anxiety, depression, not rebellion, not clarity, disorder. But here's the truth, Noam Chomsky whispered while the world scrolled. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. In plain English, you can argue about which billionaire should rule you, but never why you need a billionaire at all. You can debate which app makes you more productive, but never why your worth is tied to output. You can choose which brand of cage you prefer, but never walk out of the zoo. And the craziest part? You thank them for it. You call it freedom. You call it choice. You call it the real world. Bukowski would have laughed until he cried. He knew. The problem with the world is that the intelligent people are full of doubts, while the stupid ones are full of confidence. And who wins? The confident ones. The ones who never question. The ones who say, just work harder. Stop complaining. Be grateful you have a job. As if gratitude should silence your humanity. Let's talk data. Because even poets need proof in a world that only believes numbers. The average office worker spends 3 hours a day on tasks that add no value. McKinsey, 2023. But you still feel guilty for taking a 10-minute walk. 72% of Gen Z reports chronic anxiety. Not because they're fragile, but because they've inherited a burning house and been told to optimize the furniture. APA, 2024. The top 1% owns 45% of global wealth. Yet we're all taught to blame the poor for not budgeting better. Credit Suisse, 2023. This isn't coincidence. It's design. They need you anxious enough to keep consuming, but not angry enough to stop. They need you tired enough to obey, but not awake enough to rebel. And your mind? It's been colonized so softly, you think the invaders are your friends. Your thoughts aren't yours. They're assembled from ads, headlines, and corporate slogans. You say, I need to be more productive. But who taught you that your value is in your output? You say, I should be happier. But who sold you happiness as a product? Even your rebellion is branded. Your self-care is a $40 candle. Your mindfulness is an app that tracks your breathing and sells your data. But here's the escape hatch, the one they can't patent. Your breath, not your bio, not your brand, not your vibe, just your breath. The one thing you do 20,000 times a day that no one can monetize. The one act that requires no performance, no filter, no audience. The one proof that you're still here, alive, not just productive. Because your mind was never meant to be a warehouse for other people's ideas. It was meant to be a wilderness, messy, unpredictable, alive. So stop optimizing yourself for a system that wants you docile. Stop apologizing for needing rest, for feeling lost, for refusing to perform joy on command. You're not broken. You're overstimulated, undernourished, and spiritually starved in a world that confuses noise with meaning. And the most radical act you can do today? Breathe without a purpose. Not to calm your nervous system, not to increase focus, not even to be present. Just to breathe, because you're alive, and that's enough. This is Captain Still. They programmed your mind, but your breath, that's still yours.